Well, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the Accelerate and Multiply community. Now, if you're joining us for the very first time, welcome to Accelerate and Multiply, where you're going to learn how to catapult your influence, how to accelerate your impact, and how to unleash new income levels. So it is Sunday, the 22nd of August, 2021. It's lovely to see you here. And if you're joining me live for the very first time, I want you to go to the chat box, go to the comments box below, and make sure you say hello, introduce yourself, let me know where you're coming from. So, as you're joining, thank you for being here with me. How's your weekend going? What have you been up to this weekend? Have you been at home? Have you been out with your family? Have you been studying? Have you been going to online summits? Go to the chat box below, say hello, and let me know what you've been up to. Now, today, I'd also like to welcome our new members. Today, we hit 166 members here in the Accelerate and Multiply community. So, Rosita, Otham, Car, Leon, Rose, Bo, Jeremy, welcome to Accelerate and Multiply. Freeman, Maru, Kwang, and Wilkes, thank you for joining us at Accelerate and Multiply. Now, if you're joining me live, say hello. Let me know that you're joining me here live, or if you're watching me on the replay, type in replay and also say hello. Now, by the end of today's conversation, you are going to learn some amazing ideas so you can experience less stress this week. You won't have to worry about losing your stability, and you'll start to feel so much more confident in your business and career. So thank you for joining me. Say hello. Where are you joining me from? Say hello. We're live tonight. Go to the chat box and let me know that you're watching me here live this evening. So what is it that you want more of right now? What do you want more of in your life? What do you want more of in your business? Are you here because you want less stress? If you want less stress, type in less stress into the chat box. If you'd like to stop worrying and stop fearing losing your stability, type in worry. Let me know. Let me know that you would like to overcome your worry. Okay, Shirvy, thank you for joining us. Shirvy Lou. If you haven't met Shirvy yet, make sure you learn more about Shirvy. She has one of the top 100 fast growth companies in Malaysia. Ayla, thank you for joining me. Less stress. Excellent. Ayla, less worry. Excellent. Thank you for joining me. Shirvy, less stress. Maybe some of you want more confidence. If you would like more confidence, type in more confidence. Alicia, thank you for joining me. Great to see you here on a Sunday evening. Now, the reason why I'm talking to you about this topic this evening is because more businesses are closing down during COVID-19. Nini and I, Nikita and Caesar, we went for a walk through our hometown tonight here in Taiwan, and we were shocked. We were stunned by the amount of retail stores that have closed down, by the amount of restaurants that have shut down, the amount of real estate offices that have closed down in our city. We couldn't believe it. It feels like a ghost town. And more businesses are closing down now than at the start of the pandemic. And it's quite scary, actually. The other reason why we're having this conversation is because there are fewer customer dollars in the marketplace right now. There are fewer customer dollars, and people are tightening up their expenditure. Good evening from Kuala Lumpur. Thank you so much. Good evening to you. And yes, agree. Over here in Malaysia too. Now, if you'd like your name to appear on the screen, just go to this post and there will be a blue link. Click the blue link and it will say, let StreamYard share your name on the screen. Do that for me. So Shervy's here. Connie's here. Good evening to you, Connie. Lovely to see you here with us this evening. So there's also fewer customer dollars. As these businesses go broke, as they go bankrupt, those business owners have no more money to spend. The people that they employed are no longer receiving wages. So there's fewer customer dollars in the marketplace. And the competition who are left in the marketplace, the businesses who still have their doors open, are becoming more aggressive. The competition is becoming more aggressive today than it was before, simply because there are fewer customer dollars. And these businesses have to fight like hell to be the person who gets the customer dollars. And so they're the three reasons why we're having that conversation today. Now, here's a couple of interesting facts, and you're in business, you're a serious professional. And in good times, we know that 20% of businesses fail in the very first year. So I want you to type into the chat box, type in 20%. Remember, 20% of businesses fail in the first year. And we know this, and that's normally in a good economy. Now, in a good economy, by the end of the fifth year, only 50% of the businesses that started see the end of the fifth year. That means 50% of businesses fail before the fifth year. So I want you to type in 50%. Type 50% into the chat box because you've got to remember these numbers. Marina, good evening. Wonderful to see you once again. Marina says, good evening, Daniel. Yes, it's not a pleasant scene here in Malaysia. It's really sad indeed. 100%. Shervy says 20%. Alicia says 20%. Marina, yes, 50% of businesses will never see the fifth year in business. Now, even in a good economy, after 10 years, only 1/3 of businesses actually survive. And the reason why I share these truths with you is because when we build our businesses, we have to know the numbers. So remember, 20% of businesses fail in the first year. By the end of the fifth year, 50% of businesses have failed. And after 10 years, only 1/3 of businesses have survived. And the reason why you're in the Accelerate and Multiply community is because you want to be in that 80% of businesses who survives the first year. Do you agree? If you agree, type in survive. You're also here because you want to be one of those businesses, one of the 50% of businesses who survive to the fifth year. If you want to survive, type in survive because I don't believe any of you started your businesses just to fail. I don't believe any of you started just to be a statistic. In addition, remember, after 10 years, 1/3 of businesses have survived, 30%. And so I want you to type in the word survive because these are tough numbers. However, if you do the right things at the right time, in the right order and sequence, then you can survive and thrive. So, Alicia, survive and succeed. Shervy, survive and succeed. So they're the cold, hard facts. But what about business? Let's talk about business. Now, firstly, I'd like to talk to you about managing your emotions. I'd like to talk to you about managing your stress. And tonight, I'd like to give you some ideas that my clients are using during the pandemic, right here, right now, during COVID-19. And you probably agree that all of us are stressed. If you agree that all of us are stressed, type in stress. If you agree with me that all of us are a little bit worried about our survival, type in the word worry. Because all of us are stressed. All of us are worried. And none of us, nobody I don't care who you are or where you're from. None of us know when this is going to end. So the only question is, what can we do? What can we do as we navigate through these turbulent times? Now, my clients who are growing during the pandemic are firstly resetting their goals. The very first thing that my clients are doing is they're resetting their goals. So please type into the chat box the word reset. Type in reset into the comments box below, because all of my clients, what they're doing right now is they're resetting their goals. Instead of having these long range 3 and 5 year goals, they're actually bringing them all the way back. They're bringing them all the way back to 7 day goals. Yes, Alicia, reset 100%. Jenny, reset. Marina, stressed and worried. Therefore, we're going to reset the goals. Connie, reset the goals. Now, Connie, so I can see your name on the screen, make sure you go to the top of this post and give StreamYard permission to share your name. And Shervy, I know this is you here. Make sure you go to the top of the post and say yes to share your name. So, what they're doing, instead of having these long range 3 and 5 year goals, they're bringing them back to 7 days. And the reason why they're bringing it back to the next 7 days and not 28 days is because at least the next 7 days are predictable. For example, in Melbourne right now, the government says you're on lockdown and they say you've got 7 days. And then after 7 days, they say you got another 7 days of lockdown. And so at least in that 7 days, you can start to predict what's going to happen within that time frame. But you can't predict what's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years. You can't even predict what's going to happen in the next 28 days. And this is the reason why my clients are resetting their goals to 7 days. So I want you to go to the chat box. Go to the chat box and type in 7 days. Type in 7 days. So this is a reminder for you to, after this live, to go back and reset your goals. Now, the interesting thing is as they reset their goals to 7 days, they actually feel like they're winning again. They start to feel like they're winning because in 7 days, they can actually see the finish line. They can see that finish line right there. And it's making a big difference. So, what I recommend is that you try it for yourself. Try it out and have a look at what 7 day goals you can focus on and how you can set up your week so you keep winning. So you keep getting that dopamine, that adrenaline, and that serotonin rush every 7 days. So remember, 7 days, there we go. Gee, you people are intelligent. Shervy says 7 days. Marina says 7 days. Connie says 7 days. Alicia says 7 days. Beautiful. So it's really important that you just stay focused on the next 7 days. So what about you? What are some of those goals that you have over the next 7 days? Starting with Jenny. Jenny, what are some of the goals that you have for the next 7 days? Alicia, what are some of the goals that you have over the next 7 days? Connie, there we go. What are some of the goals that you've got over the next 7 days? So say hello if you're joining me live, ladies and gentlemen, say hello. If you're just joining us here at the Accelerate and Multiply community, say hello. We've just hit 166 members this evening, and one of my goals over the next 7 days is to build this community to 1,000 members. That's my goal. And over the next 7 days, my goal is to build this community to 1,000 members. And I want this community to support and to serve people just like you. So if you haven't invited your friends and your business colleagues to the Accelerate and Multiply community yet, make sure you share it today. Take that link, share it with them. Let them know this is a place where they can get great ideas to become more successful. Now that we've talked about goals and what my clients are doing, I know that the following story is really going to blow your mind. Now, I have a client who has made an extra $2 million in sales during the pandemic. So please go to the chat box and type in $2 million. Type in $2 million because one of my clients has just made an extra $2 million in sales revenues during the pandemic. Now, let me tell you this. No, they did not get lucky. None of them got lucky. No, it was not a miracle. And no, they don't sell drugs. But as you already know, and you've heard this from me before, without sales, business fails. I want you to remember that. Without sales, business fails. Please go to the chat box and type in without sales, business fails. Here we go. Shervy achieved 200K commissions in the next 7 days. Beautiful. Marina, impressive. Yes, $2 million. And I'm going to tell you exactly what they did. Connie, $2 million. Not ringgits, not Taiwan dollars, but real Aussie dollars. And remember the rule, without sales, business fails. Yes, there we go. Marina, thank you so much. Without sales, business fails. Connie, yes, without sales, business fails. Jenny, yes, without sales, business fails. And all of us need to make sales to survive. Felicia, without sales, business fails. 100%. All of us need sales to survive. I want you to type in that type in sell to survive. Sell to survive. All of us must sell to survive. Let me see if you agree with this. Give me a yes if you agree with this. Sales is tough. To make sales is tough. Do you agree that it's tough to make sales? If you agree, type in yes. Because you've got to face a lot of rejection. Before you make a sale, you've got to go through a lot of rejection. We know that 80% of sales are made after the 12th to 15th time that you ask your prospect to buy, which means you get a lot of no, a lot of rejections to your offer. So is sales tough? If you think sales are tough, type in yes. I'm going to type in yes because I believe selling is tough. And I also believe that rejection isn't nice. Do you agree that rejection is not a nice thing to go with? In addition, and this is why I say selling is tough, is you have to chase. You've got to chase your prospects. You've got to follow up. You've got to handle objections. And that is exhausting. Do you agree? Do you agree that selling is exhausting? Here we go. Connie, yes, you've got to sell to survive. Marina, thank you so much. Yes, sales is challenging. Connie, sales is tough. I've been in sales since I was 19. And I'll tell you what, it's super hard work. Jenny, yes, 168 hours to make sales to survive. And no means new opportunities. Beautiful. So we've got to chase, we've got to follow up, we've got to handle objections, and that's exhausting. Now, one of my clients, they said, Daniel, how can we make more sales in an unpredictable market? And my advice to them was very simple. I told them you can control two things. In this market, you can control two things. Let me ask you, ladies and gentlemen, how many things can you control in this market? I want you to type in 2. There's only 2 things that you can control in this market. And I'd like to share with you what those 2 things are. These are the 2 things that when you do them diligently, your sales results can explode. Now, I told them, I said, you can do 2 things in this market, and they both start with the letter A. So I want you to type in the letter A. Yes, Alicia, 2. Marina, 2. Yes, there's 2 things, and they both start with the letter A. Now, the first thing is action. So I want you to type in action. You can control your levels of action because you determine how many prospecting calls you make. You determine how many follow-up calls you make. You determine how many times you ask the prospect to buy. So the first A is action. There we go. Jenny, 2 A's. Alicia, 2 A's. Marina, action. Excellent. Good. Mohan, wonderful to see there. A is for action. The first A is action. And in this market, you control the action. It is you who control the action. Now, the second A, would you like to know what it is? Would you like to know what the second A is? If you'd like to know what the second A is, type in A into the chat box below, and I'm going to tell you what the other A is. Now, the second A is attitude. So type that into the chat box so you can program that into your mind. The second A is attitude. And you also have 100% control over your attitude. Your attitude, and you've heard me talk about this at the 100x DNA Masterclass, your attitude is your angle of approach. It is the way that you approach selling. It's the way that you approach life. It's the way that you approach the pandemic. And there we go. Connie, you've got it. The 2 A's, action and attitude. And remember, you control your attitude. Your attitude is your angle of approach. And I said to my clients, I said, you can approach this pandemic with a fear of failure. I said, you can approach the pandemic with a fear of losing your stability. Or you can approach the pandemic with a will to win, a will to survive, a will to thrive. And that's what they did. Now, 1 year into the pandemic, my clients called me and they said, Daniel, we have great news. And I said, what is it? I said, are you pregnant? They said, no. They said, but we did just make an extra $2 million in sales this year. And I said, wow. I said, what did you do? They said, we did exactly what you told us to do. And I said, what did I tell you to do? They said, Daniel, you told us to apply the 2 A's. And so what we started to do is we started to take more action. We started to make more telephone calls. They said in our industry, the average company makes 600 telephone calls per month. We went out there and we took more action and we made 6,000 telephone calls every single month. They said, we knew our competitors were lazy. We knew our competitors would only make 600 phone calls in the best of times, but we went out and we made 6,000 telephone calls per month in the most challenging conditions we've ever seen. They said, we took more action. They also said, we also made a decision. We made the decision that this pandemic would be God's gift to us. They said, we decided that the pandemic would be God's gift to us. So we started to approach the pandemic with a will to win. And we did. And this has been our best year in the history of our business. And because we applied those 2 A's, we made an additional $2 million in sales over the past year. So this is the point I want to make this evening. Firstly, 1, reset your goals. Reset your goals and focus on 7-day goals. And secondly, remember, you have control over the 2 most important things in your life, and they both start with the letter A. Number 1 is action. And secondly, your attitude, your angle of approach. And if you do these 2 things in the next week, if you do these 2 things The week ahead could be the best week of your year. Just remember, these two things can change your life. There we go. Mohan, action and attitude. Thank you for joining me, my friend. Marina, and which industry are they in? Beautiful. They're in the sales industry. They're the same industry as all of us. Their industry is in a decline, but they're going through a growth period because they did two things. They took action and they controlled their attitude. Jenny, positive attitude, positive action. Marina, don't let the pandemic get the better of us. Don't let it get the better of you at all. Shervy, reset goals with two A's, action and attitude. Mohan, focus on the next 7 days. Connie, reset goals for the next 7 days by taking action and focusing on that positive attitude. Absolutely. And this is what the Accelerate and Multiply community is all about, sharing these ideas with you so you can start to catapult your influence, so you can start to accelerate your impact. And most importantly, is for you to unleash those new income levels. So let me summarize today's conversation in 3 points. Number one, remember, 50% of businesses will be dead and gone for the 5th year of operations. Secondly, if you are feeling fearful right now, you need to adjust your goals. And thirdly, you are in complete control of both your action and your attitude. And if you do this, if you do these 3 things, if you're aware of these 3 things, this could be the best week of your life. So, Connie, reset the goals for the next 7 days by taking action and positive attitude. Shervy, keep up the momentum. Non-stop action. Yeah, non-stop selling. And Alicia, reset goals for 7 days. Massive action with positive attitude. 100%. Gee, you people are smart. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed your evening here in the Accelerate and Multiply community. And my goal this week, my 7-day goal, is to have 1,000 members in this Accelerate and Multiply community. And may I ask you for one favor? Could I ask you to share this group just with 1 or 2 of your friends? If you could take the link and share it with 1 or 2 of your friends, we can start to build this community. We can start to gather in other successful business people, people who are like-minded, people who want more success, people who are saying, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to achieve my goals. If you can share this group with 1 or 2 of your friends, then we can build this community to 1,000 people. And I'll tell you what, you will find great people in this group, people that you're going to do business with in the years ahead. So invite them, because my goal over the next 7 days is to get this group to 1,000 business people. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here this evening. Marina, well said. Thank you, Daniel, for making us feel it's so possible. Action and attitude. It is possible. My business has grown. My business is bigger today than before the start of the pandemic. And because I'm focusing on those 2 things, the same 2 things that I tell my clients, focus on your attitude and focus on your action. You control your attitude. You control your actions. Alicia, thank you for being here this evening. Shervy, thank you for joining me. Connie, thank you for joining me. Mohan, you should bring your team along to this group. Your team would love this group. Shervy, all of your team should be in this group as well, learning these ideas. Connie, wonderful to have you here. Alicia, Marina, Jenny, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here this evening, and I look forward to serving you again in the week ahead. Wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.